Hello BookTube. This is a new shelf tour and it's a little more complicated than some of the other ones. And we're going to start with bookshelf 8, work into 9 and 10. They're all interrelated and the books sort of work in a cycle through the three bookshelves. So it's going to be a little more complicated than some of that I've done in the past, and so it'll take a little longer than some of the ones I've done in the past. Primarily literature, either criticism, history of literature, literature from different countries, poetry, works about individual authors. So some of you may find it interesting. I hope you do. And I started it off running along the top of bookshelf 8. So this is bookshelf 8. Running along the top, organized way it is because I have a very large set here that can act as a bookend, so that I can just line the books up and then use a real bookend on the other side so that everything's stable. And this is a 3-volume set of Shakespeare, the annotated Shakespeare. This is with a biography and bibliography by A.L. Rouse. Has 4,200 illustrations. I'm holding on my leg here. It's quite weighty. I've got them in a lot of orders. 1, 2, and 3. So 1 is comedies. 2 is history, sonnet, and other poems. And then you have the tragedies and romances. And I'll just pull out one here if I can, and give you an idea of how it looks. I've actually shown this when we did the Shakespeare project. So here's what it looks like. Inside here. It's Clarkson and Potter Incorporated, Publishers, New York, distributed by Crown Publishers Incorporated, and it's 1978. In this authoritative 3-volume annotated edition, A.L. Rouse, the noted Elizabethan scholar, sets forth his extraordinary knowledge of William Shakespeare and his time. All Shakespeare's plays and poems are included, and there's 4,200 illustrations. So you have notes, you have some illustrations. Sometimes you'll have some of the production history. So that's my slightly out of order. Actually, I can fix it while I get open here. It's a box set of A.L. Rouse's annotated Shakespeare. And we're going to continue with the Shakespeare theme, if I can get this book in here. This is quite a chunky thing to handle. On a recent haul, I found this Shakespeare calendar. Quite a lovely little thing. Thomas Y. Crowell Company, New York, publishers. Edited by Agnes Caldwell Way, and it's from 1908. So January you'd have a group of entries, and then here's March. It's a fun thing. Moving right along, a guidebook I've always preferred, or since it came out I've preferred, is Marjorie Garber's Shakespeare, After All. It goes through each play. I have to show this for Steve Donahue. Here's Marjorie with her friends. This is published by Pantheon Books, New York, 2004. And let's see. Complete with a comprehensive introduction to Shakespeare life and times and extensive bibliography. So quite a handy volume. I use it quite a bit. Then, a very famous book, Shakespeare of London, by Marchette Chute. Here's the end papers. There's a biography of Shakespeare. And it's E.P. Dutton and Company Incorporated, Publishers, New York. Is the first edition from 1949. And keeping up the theme, a Dover Thrift edition of Hamlet for when I Did that with a book club, and I did the same with Richard III. Another Dover thrift edition. Then a volume I really enjoyed, A.L. Rouse, Shakespeare the Man, same fellow who did the annotated Shakespeare. And this was Harper Row Publishers, New York, and this is the 1973 first U.S. edition. I very much, a biography I very much enjoyed. And this here is a little international profiles, and this is the William Shakespeare one, Ivor Brown, excuse me, is the author. This is the general editor of this series, Edward Storer, International Profiles. Let me see how this works. So this was trying to find a publication date. This happens to me all the time. Oh, 1968. So there you go. Nicely illustrated. Very short. How many pages we got here? There's a book list at the back on page 92. So, nice short little introduction. Then another Dover publication is a Shakespearean grammar, an attempt to illustrate some of the differences between Elizabethan and modern English. And this is by E.A. Abbott. It's a fun volume. Dover Publications Incorporated, Mineola, New York. This was first published in '66, republished in 2003, and it's an unabridged republication of the volume of 1870. I'll give you an idea what it looks like on the inside. Then again, A.L. Rouse, have a bit of a theme. This is the expansion of Elizabethan England. So this is not necessarily a Shakespeare volume. Macmillan, St. Martin's Press, and this is from, first edition was 55, but this is a reprint from 71. Now this is part of a series. So let's see if they give us the orders. The Elizabethan Age is the England of Elizabeth, the expansion of Elizabethan England, the Elizabethan Renaissance, the life of the society, and the Elizabethan Renaissance, the cultural achievement. I have not read this, and I'm trying to collect all the volumes in the series before I do read it. Moving along, because like I say, this is a lot of the literature in the house. I love these Norton anthologies. This one's World Masterpieces, 7th edition, volume 1. You can usually pick these things up pretty easily for not much money. So it starts off with Masterpiece. Oh, well, let me give you a publication date. This is 1984, 1999 edition. So, yeah, and they change as tastes and critical opinion changes through time. So you'll see I have some older ones. So under Masterpieces of the Ancient World, you have Gilgamesh, the Bible, Old Testament, Homer. I'll jump way ahead. Boccaccio's Decameron, Petrarch. You go in, they'll have these maps. So it's a good way to familiarize yourself. So here's Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And they give you quite a bit of information. And then I have older edition in 2 volumes of the again, I like having these around because if there's something that's I should know about and maybe I can't remember or don't know well, I can go look at it. It's W.W. Norton Company, New York, and this is 56, 1965. So here you go. One of my favorites there, Bernard Knox. So you get some of the Iliad. Let's see here. Inferno. So they're a good way to familiarize yourself with the world's literature. You have Turgenev, Fathers and Son, Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich, Andrei Gide Theses. So selections from world literature. And then another Norton, Modern Short Stories, The Uses of the Imagination. Again, a great way to, this is the third edition, W.W. Norton Company, New York, edited by Arthur Misner from Cornell. And this thing came out originally 62. This is from 71 because it's later printing. So examples would be John Updike's A Sense of Shelter, Ernest Hemingway, The Gambler, The Nun, and the Radio. I don't even think I've read that before. That's surprising. Philip Roth, Defender of the Faith. James Agee, The Waiting. William Faulkner, The Fire and the Earth. And then, again, a collection, this time Oxford. The Oxford Book of Essays, chosen and edited by John Gross. Absolutely love this book. Let's see, this is Oxford University Press, Oxford, New York, 1991. I'll give you some quick examples. Sir Francis Bacon, Sir Thomas Overbury, Samuel Butler, John Dryden, Jonathan Swift, Henry Fielding, Samuel Johnson, jumping all over the place here. George Eliot, she's talking about Thomas Carlyle, Matthew Arnold, Ambrose Bierce, Mark Twain, T.H. Huxley, Oscar Wilde, his is The True Critic, Joseph Conrad, Sir Winston Churchill, Leighton Strachey, H.L. Mencken, Rose Macaulay, James Serber, Lauren Isley, Connor Cruz O'Brien, Clive James, so fun stuff. And then finally, for the first half of the top of the bookcase, this is a Norton Reader. Another wonderful volume by W.W. Norton out of New York. And it's an anthology of expository prose. And this was originally came out in 65. This edition I have is from 69. And just like all their other things, which I really like, this one has some treasures in it, which is the whole point of it. So you have Walter Pater, a selection from the Renaissance. You have Dylan Thomas, Memories of Christmas, Wallace Stegner, The Town Dump, Max Beerbohm, The Relic, E.B. White, Once More to the Lake, Ralph Waldo Emerson, The Language of the Street. I'm jumping all over the place. W.H. Auden, Pride, John Donne, Temptation. James Serber, The Bear Who Let It Alone. Edith Hamilton, Xenophon. Love Edith Hamilton. John Dos Passos, Fighting Bob. Walter Lippmann, The Indispensable Opposition. You've got science, you've got history. They break it all down. So that's the first half of the very top of the bookcase. And thank you, BookTube.